The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. Tonight in Utah, Knicks go on a 17-zip run in the third quarter. OG Anunoby, a Knicks high 27 for him. The Knicks once down 19, were within 2, but too much from Lowry, Markkanen and company. Markkanen a game high 34, and the Knicks 4-game winning streak is over as they lose in Utah 121-106. Back in our Delta MSG studios, Bill Pidto along with Alan Hahn and Wally Szczerbiak. Credit where credit is due. You said you were concerned about this game. I don't know that the rest of us were, but your concern was justified for sure. Why were you so nervous about this coming into it?
Listen, the Jazz are really underachieving to start the season. They're 1-5 at home coming into this game. They're a better team than that. Knicks have always struggled in Utah. They had 2 days off. This was an interesting start time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon during the day. Bottom line is, the Knicks didn't shoot the ball well, and in order to win in today's league, you got to make shots, especially from the three-point line. They got outshot from the three-point line. 3 of their key guys didn't shoot it well. Karl Anthony Towns didn't shoot well. Brunson didn't shoot it well. Bridges didn't shoot it well, and you're not going to win a lot of games like that. The Knicks cannot rely on their defense anymore to carry them to win games unless they play at a high level offensively.
The strengths were weaknesses in this game, right? The strengths of this season for the Knicks were weaknesses. So the three-point failure that Wally's talking about, 33%. This is a team that was one of the best in the league in shooting the three, and they had an awful night from downtown. Rebounding has been a strength for this team. Defensive rebounding especially awful. They got out-rebounded by 12 in this game as well. And it's the start of the game that was a mirror of last year when the team went to Utah. The same thing happened. They chased the scoreboard the entire game, missing the first 6 threes. It allowed the Utah defense to do what they want to do. They have so much size. They took the paint away, and the Knicks could not make the threes that they had been making throughout this whole season. A bad shooting night, one they got to forget about.
Knicks took 51 threes, tied for the 3rd most in franchise history. They only made 17 of those. Wally, the Knicks got down by 13 in the first quarter. They were down by 15 at the half, and they went down by 19 in the third quarter. But a 17-0 run had them within 2 at 77-75, but they could get no closer.
You saw the 3-12 Jazz come out in that third quarter. I mean, they just let the Knicks back in that game, threw the ball all over the map. Knicks completely took advantage and gained the momentum, led by that guy, OG Anunoby. He really showed up to this game. He shot the ball really high level. The defense was good. Cameron Payne was out there on the floor because he was engaged in this game. He played with the energy and effort that you need to play with if you want to win on the road. It's not easy to win on the road in the NBA, especially early on in the season. You know, the Jazz are trying to figure their way out. They got Walker Kessler back in the lineup, who really dominated the paint. This was outstanding, multiple efforts. And Jericho Sims, when he came out there, the defense was really good. And, you know, the doubt started to creep into the Utah Jazz, Allen, and that's where the Knicks made it a ball game. I thought they had a chance, a really good chance to win it after this big-time 17-0 run, but you got to give the Jazz a lot of credit. They settled in and dominated the rest of the way.
What you saw was, again, what the weakness was for the Jazz, which is turnovers that we talked about before the game. 18 of them. The Knicks got a ton of steals and a lot of points off turnovers in that run, and that's when, of course, if you're a little harder, you bring in your better players and you stop the bleeding. That's what he did, so the Knicks couldn't do much more there. But the shooting numbers is the story of this game. The Jazz came into the game as the 3rd worst three-point shooting team in the league, and they go 19 of 34. They shoot over 50% from downtown. The Knicks, one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league, can't knock down a 3. Sometimes it is the numbers.
Yep.
Sometimes it's as simple as what went wrong. It's the numbers, the rebounding, and, of course, the three-point shooting, which was strengths of this team.
Walker Kessler gave Cat a rough night. How come?
Kessler has length, tons of length. He is why, if he is on the trade market, which is some of the rumors, that is a lot of teams that would be interested in bringing him in because of how much he impacts the game. He didn't just impact Karl Anthony Towns in the paint. He also impacted Jalen Brunson. Every time Brunson got switched or tried to get into the paint, Kessler clears a lot of space and covers a lot of space. That long arm comes up, and you have to shoot over it, and you could see that it keeps a lot of those guys that got into the paint off balance. He impacted this game tremendously tonight.
He intimidated the Knicks. They settled for 51 threes. They didn't want to go challenge him in the paint that much. And, you know, he's the kind of guy where he's versatile. He can guard Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, when he gets switched on with a big man, he's got to figure out a way to attack that matchup, I think, a little bit more. All season long, he's kind of deferred and thrown it to Cat sometimes, thrown it to some other guys, but he's got to make that big guy pay for switching in that pick and roll and guarding him one-on-one.
Is that different than last year, and if so, how come?
I think so. I just think maybe the spacing's just a little different. In the beginning of the year,
certain bigs.
I think in the beginning of the year, he wanted to get the other guys involved and didn't want to hold the ball. But he's got to make teams pay when they switch a big onto him because he's too good from outside. I think he can get himself some space, knock down a three, to make those big guys come out and guard, and then he'll be able to drive around them and get some easy buckets.
Brunson, one of the Knicks that struggled from downtown, only 2 of 9 from deep. Monica McNutt helped call the game on ESPN New York, the radio call. Monica, as always, great to talk to you. What do you think? What are your impressions of what happened tonight to the Knicks?
I'm still working through what I think my impressions are, but one thing I will call out is that the Jazz were coming off of a 4-game road trip. They dropped all 4. They were competitive in all 4. The final scores are not more than 8 points in any particular game. So you see that, and then you see that, and you know that this team was looking forward to getting home. And so I think tonight, a culmination of getting home, I think getting Jordan Clarkson back, getting Walker Kessler back, they just were the sharper team all around. And, of course, the three-point shooting, that percentage for them is a bit of an outlier this season for sure.
Yeah, Monica, the last 2 games before today, the Knicks had great starts, great first quarters against the Wizards, great first quarter against the Suns, putting up 40 and 44 respectively. It seemed like that they were ready to go in those 2 games. This game, Utah, there's something about that building, whatever it is, because last year it felt like the same thing. Last year, Knicks got off to a terrible start in Utah. It can't just be the building. What was the difference from the approach tonight from the Knicks?
I don't know what it is, Hahn, but I'm with you. Like, it was another rhythmless, clunky, I think the approach, for one, there's way too many turnovers, for one. And I also think that the Knicks, frankly, settled for threes. I thought there were opportunities for them to score in the paint, try to get trips to the free throw line or at least higher percentage shots once they realized that no one named OG Anunoby was able to hit from behind the three-point line tonight. And so I don't want to say that they took this team lightly because that's not indicative of who this team is or the way that head coach Tom Thibodeau prepares them. But it certainly looked that the Jazz were the younger, sharper, more energetic team, more urgent team. Maybe I'll put it that way because they really wanted to get out of the L column. And I think maybe there was just a little bit of human nature and the Knicks were comfortable winning and a little too confident.
Monica, Walker Kessler looked like he dominated that game. What did you see from him, especially live, with his size, his athleticism, his versatility, protecting that paint?
He's got great feet, and I think because perhaps he is out here in Utah, in the conversation of the league at large, he gets lost as a quality big man. But he's a terrific rim protector. I heard you talking about it, Wally. When he was switched out into those pick-and-roll actions, like, he's able to move his feet. He's a willing passer. I think you forget, too, that this team is top 10 in terms of offensive rebounds. There were so many opportunities under the basket where, again, the urgency of the Jazz just outplayed the urgency of the Knicks under their own basket in terms of higher percentage shots. We'll talk about Walker Kessler, and rightfully so. Of course, you'll talk about Lauri Markkanen, but I actually thought John Collins had a terrific first half as well and helped to set the tone for this Jazz squad as they pushed out the lead and had a lead at halftime.
Okay, Monica, have a safe trip to Denver. We'll talk to you on Monday night.
Thanks, guys.
She just mentioned Collins. He went for 20 and 13.
Yep.
Kessler, double-double. Allen was a plus 34.
That's huge, yeah, and that
Plus
shows
34.
you his impact. That shows you right there his impact. They have missed him. There's no question about it. But his length, his ability to switch, there's so much about it, and that's why there were a lot of rumors about him possibly being on the trading block. He is going to be a player that a lot of teams are going to want to check in on.
Why doesn't Utah want to keep him?
Pay. It's about money. It's due to pay. Time to pay him.
Cat was a minus 34.
Yeah, and that's a big number for Cat. And you alluded to going up against a guy that's a true 7-footer with that kind of size. Cat was off from the three-point line. He shot 1 for 9 from the three-point line.
He had clean looks. He was short on those threes. He did have good looks from three.
He did. And
he had 16 rebounds, too. So, like, even though he didn't shoot well, the effort as far as getting on the boards was certainly there for Cat.
And there's something to be said of coming from Phoenix when it's warm, your body gets into like the game quickly. You get you're sweating immediately. It's hot. You got a little bit of heat and humidity that kind of gets you going, and then you go to snow laden. It's cold. It's dry, and the altitude, hits you. You got to be ready to play there. You want to get that second wind by going hard in warm-ups, by going hard in shoot-around to make sure when you're used to a little bit of different breathing and perspective and altitude and stuff like that compared to Phoenix. So Knicks were not ready for that, especially because I agree with Monica. They got outworked today. And when you outwork a team, you're going to get the win, and that's what the Jazz did.
More altitude coming Monday.
Denver.
That's right.
All right, much to come here on the postgame show, including the postgame comments from Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau. Knicks lose tonight in Utah. They are now 9-7 on the season.
The Knicks postgame show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
Knicks in Denver on Monday, pregame 8:30, game at 9 on MSG2. You can also stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports app. Knicks lose tonight in Utah, 121-106. Tom Thibodeau's postgame comments presented by Chase.
Yeah, we were flat. We started slowly, and we had a couple of chances to get back. And then every time we got it down to like 5, we gave up an easy shot. There's going to be nights that you don't shoot it great, and you need your defense and your rebounding to carry it. We didn't rebound well enough. We took care of the ball. I thought we forced turnovers, which did get us into the open floor. That was good, but we needed more easy baskets to sort of get us into the rhythm. And, we ended up 33% from 3, made 17, but we also allowed them to, they made 19. So we had a deficit there as well.
Is there anything you see that when you say, like, we came out flat, was it just the shooting maybe got...
Yeah, well, I think sometimes, and what you can't do is you can't allow, missed shots take away from the energy that you need, from your defense. Then you have to win games different ways. And so the nights in which you're not shooting well, you want your defense and your rebounding and your low turnovers to carry you. And if you do those 3 things, you're going to be in position to win, regardless of how you shoot the ball. And then some nights, no one shoots the ball great for 82 games. And then if you're not shooting well, just do other things that could help us win. And so the one thing I did think is I thought we generated some wide open looks that we didn't make. And that's what you want to see. You want to see like the ball movement to continue, but then also rely on that defense.
It's interesting. The ball did move. The Knicks had 25 assists.
Yes.
We've talked about their run of games with at least 30 assists. They almost got to 30, and they didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah, it's interesting how he pointed that out, because I was thinking the same thing while we were watching the game. The shots they were getting were good. A lot of them were good looks. What happens is the more open looks you miss, the more now the bad shots start to become a bigger issue, right? But every game's going to have bad shots. But what Thibodeau was pointing out there was that the staples of him and his teams are defense and rebounding.
Yeah.
And therefore,
Absolutely.
you could be a great shooting team,
You're
but every night,
100%
you might have a bad shooting night. And that's when you have to lean on the defense and rebounding. To me, that's what didn't show up.
That's the alarming, the first part of this season, that's the thing that Tom Thibodeau doesn't like about the way this team is playing. You can just tell. We've been doing post games for a long time with Tom Thibodeau as coach. He wants to control those 2 categories. Defense and rebounding and not turning the ball over are the controllables that coaches look at that give you a chance to win even when you don't shoot the ball well. Now, the way the NBA is nowadays, you have to shoot the ball well to win games. You can't just win games on your defense, rebounding, and not turning the ball over. It's a skill league. Tonight, the Jazz shot the ball the best they have all season. They're going to come away with the win.
And you see, too, the first quarter, Knicks got out to a slow start, missed their first 6 threes, got out rebound early, trailed 11 early. But they still wound up tied at the end of the first quarter. Yeah. So, okay, you got through the bad start. So I don't know if you can really say this was just a bad start because you were tied after 1. It was that second quarter. You pointed it out, Bill. That second quarter.
They lost the second quarter by 15.
38 points you gave up in that second quarter. And especially late in that quarter, you gave up a bunch of shots, went down 16 at the half. That is the part, I think, where if you're Tom Thibodeau, you're looking at that. You're looking at that and thinking to yourself, we survived a slow start. We were still in the game. And yet, that second quarter is when the bottom dropped out. Still have to make an exhausting run 17-0 just to get down 2. And just now, okay, you're back in the game. Once again, you feel like you're right there, but can't get the stops to close the quarter, and you're still chasing the scoreboard. This comes down not to the shooting, but to the defense and the inability to get the big rebounds to eliminate those second chances for the Jazz.
Now, on the plus side, OG Anunoby tied a career high with 7 made threes, and he scored 27, Wally. That's the most he's ever scored as a Knick. He
That's
played
great.
very well.
I know, and it was a quiet 27, I thought. And it's unfortunate it didn't end up in a win. But OG Anunoby has been really good offensively, just comfortable from that three-point line. His catch-and-shoot stroke looks perfect. He's coming off screens. The Knicks are getting him more and more involved. They're mixing up lineups that he plays with, so he gets the opportunity to be kind of the go-to guy sometimes with that second unit. And, other guys around him are making him better, and he's doing the same with other guys. My concern with OG a little bit is like the matchup to watch was him against Markkanen, and Larry Markkanen shot lights out. Had a big day.
Yeah.
I mean, he averages 18 points per game, and he ended up with 34, blew through his season average. So OG's doing it on the offensive end of the floor. Obviously, he needs help guarding a guy like Markkanen running off those screens. But, the Knicks as a team, they got to get to the point where, learn from the loss like this and figure out a way to be stingier. I think that's the word on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, 5 of 8 for Markkanen from 3. Mm-hmm. Another big man that can shoot threes, which is, again, trouble for the Knicks a lot of times. But for Anunoby to get 27 while chasing him off screens and running around, also helping off as well. Anunoby does a lot of helping off. In this game, he also had 3 steals and 2 blocks. So defensively getting some stats. But that's a lot for him to do, and also have to chase around a guy like Markkanen, who's much bigger than him. Taller, bigger, and he's overplaying. And once he had to overplay for the 3, then you saw what happened. Then he started going back door. They started getting a couple of easy buckets for Markkanen. So a tough game for Anunoby, but he shot 7 of 12 from 3. Rest of the Knicks, 10 for 39. Once again, he's trying to get two-way game going, but the rest of the Knicks, it wasn't a two-way game.
Mikal Bridges really struggled from 3, from 2 everywhere, went 3 of 15.
So it was a no-way game.
Bridges 3 of 15 in the game from the floor. Game 3 of the Knicks' 5-game road trip is Monday night in Denver. You can stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports app or watch on MSG2. Pregame at 8:30, game at 9. Back now from the Corner 3, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer, as the Jazz tonight beat the Knicks 121-106. Wally, Jalen Brunson, 8 of 19 from the floor, only 2 of 9 from downtown.
Yeah, he struggled from 3. He was outstanding against Phoenix at 7 for 11, and he just couldn't get him to go. It was one of those nights, one of those days for the Knicks. He still gets to his points. He gets over 20, made plays for his team, but overall, Jalen Brunson, he had an off night. And when he has an off night and Karl Anthony Towns have an off night, it's going to be tough for this Knicks team to win. He knows that. Karl Anthony Towns know that. They got to regroup. They got to figure out a way to get their games back for Monday night. And the beautiful thing about NBA basketball is you got to game 2 more days. You can't let this type of performance linger. You got to let it go. It's one game. You can't let it fester and go and bleed into the next game, because every game starts at 0. So the Knicks have to figure out a way to turn things around in Denver.
I just loved in the highlights we were showing there that once you saw that he wasn't making those early deep shots, he started taking it in the paint, and he was playing a little bully ball. You saw him just get in there and just make some contact and just try to get into the paint and just get some buckets. He didn't get to the free throw line. There weren't a lot of free throws in this game either. Like, it was a very physical game.
Quick game.
But, for Brunson, again, like you said, it's the numbers that were there. I mean, 8 assists again, so the assists continue to be high for him. And it's the rest of it. It's not just him. It's, Mikal Bridges struggled with his shot as well. The Knicks backcourt really struggled big time from three-point range in this game.
Yeah, Brunson, the 8 assists, had gone 3 straight games in double-digit assists and only had 2 turnovers. So he's running the floor. When you watch him, it just seems these shots are just barely missing when they're not going in.
He was short early.
Right?
Most of the guys were short.
Yeah, short.
Bridges
on a lot
was
of
short.
these shots.
Towns was wide open on a 3, and he barely grazed the front of the rim.
Airballed one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not typical. So, again, you just throw this one out.
Weird start time. Sometimes when you have 2 days off and you're in such a good rhythm, you don't want that second day off. You're in the rhythm of play off, play off. That's the perfect rhythm for a player to keep their stroke and their game going.
All right, Knicks go down. Jalen Brunson after the game. And we'll get some reaction from Mikal Bridges. As we mentioned, he went only 3 of 15 from the floor in this one. Knicks are in Denver Monday night, pregame at 8:30, game at 9 on MSG2. You can also stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports app. Knicks lose tonight in Utah. Here's Mikal Bridges after the game.
Gil, tough shooting night for you and the team tonight. When stuff like that happens, what else do you need to do to kind of help the team win?
Yeah, I think just get stops, communicate to each other a little bit more. I think it's tough, and it's, we ain't the only team, but it's just human nature sometimes to, when you miss shots and kind of let down a little bit and your voice kind of goes away, So I think we just got to get past that and still communicate to each other, because, we can't miss and then, that mess up our defense. So, if we miss it, I got to even turn us up on the other end. So I think we just got to be better at that.
As good as you guys have been offensively lately, when you see it start slow, you just think it's going to open up at some point for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I think, just keep being aggressive. A lot of shots that we all took, I felt like it was no bad ones, kind of good looks for everybody. But, yeah, we confident enough. I think it's just the defense. That's what the biggest thing is, Then you give them confidence. So I think when we're in them shooting slumps, we got to get stops. It's easy when you're making shots to play defense, So we just got to find a way when we miss it. It's going to be them games and, get through it.
Interesting. Said the bad shooting impacted the Knicks defense. Cat in the game, 16 points, 16 rebounds, but not enough as the Knicks lose to the Jazz. We're wrapping it up after this. Here's what's ahead for the Knicks. We've talked about their game on Monday. It is at Denver, and then Wednesday they are at Dallas, and then the day after Thanksgiving they are against the Hornets. So the Nuggets guys are 8-6, but they're playing the Lakers tonight, so a tough test for them. The Lakers off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, Nuggets are struggling, no question. They're tough to play up in Denver. They really are. Knicks have always struggled up there, especially when Jokic plays and he's healthy. And we'll see if he's in the lineup. But Knicks have to forget about this one, get some rest tomorrow, get up to Denver, and kind of use this game to motivate them to get back to those winning ways. Because tonight was one I think they let slip through their hands.
Karl-Anthony Towns returns to Denver his last time there, Game 7, if you remember in the second round, where Minnesota came back to win that series, and he played great in that game, Game 7, 23 points, 12 rebounds, as Minnesota came back from a 20-point deficit to win a Game 7 on the road and send Jokic home and company. So him matched up with Jokic again, and this game should be an interesting one to watch.
All right, so the Knicks lose to the Jazz, 1-1 now on the 5-game road trip, and Game 3 is Monday night on MSG2. Knicks in Denver, pregame at 8:30, game at 9. You can also stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports app.